Yo, it's Satorix, and today I'm bringing you another WISP guide. Yeah, I didn't want to, but I couldn't help it because I just really fell in love with WISP after the last video, and I wanted to do something more fun with her, and this is what I call fun. This is my 1000 strength solo WISP build. With this specific combination, I am able to get 1000 strength from WISP without requiring invigoration from my Helminth, without requiring any other person on my team. And it doesn't require me cracking relics, which means if I am able to crack a relic and get ×2, I can end up with 2000 strength WISP all solo. And it's comfortable. Without further ado, let me show you how I did it. So the number we're going to be focusing on is our haste mode, which is right there with that percentage. And the math essentially breaks down to, for every 1%, there is 5.05 ability power in it. So if we take that 197 and multiply it by the 5.05, it gets us 995. Before we go any further, I just want to make it abundantly clear, if you use this build in a pug group, they are probably going to be impressed and upset. It is literally just too much fire speed to keep up with primary weapons. They run out of too much ammo. So this is actually a melee weapon frame platform, and it does absolutely insane work with melee influence because of how fast you're capable of attacking. And I'm using the Okinas, which also give me an insane amount of clear and range and movement with all the attack speed that I have with it. So what's this crazy build, you say? That's right here, and it's actually not too crazy, but it did take me about 6 forma to make, and I'm still missing 1 point in my Archon Intensify, which gives me 2.7 ability strength, and all of my Archon shards are Tau forged reds with ability strength except for 1, so I'm missing essentially 7 ability strength, which would push me over that 1000 threshold. And I could just throw on Power Drift here instead of Fueled Reservoir to hit it currently in its state, but Fueled Reservoir is just so much of a nice, like, life-saving quality type ability. It's not worth the 15 additional ability strength, in my opinion, to not use Fused Reservoir. It'll keep all 3 of your modes together. That shock mode is really nice to get, and the setup is so much more complicated if you use Power Drift that it's just worth using Fueled Reservoir, I promise. This build also takes advantage of Empower on your 4th ability Helminth over instead of Soulgate. And really from here, we're just going for ability strength. We have Blind Rage, Transient Fortitude, Amar's Hatred, Augur's Secrets. I put Archon Stretch in here because the range never hurts. It makes it a little bit easier for you to find your moat, and that additional energy over time for Archon Stretch just is useful. And then Primed Continuity, so that your buff lasts a little bit longer and it allows you to run away from your moat a little more, making it so it's almost permanently on you. I think it's like 32 seconds or something like that. 38. Yeah, Prime Continuity, definitely fun and needed here with the Archon Stretch. It's just 2 quality of life nodes. Molt Augmented, obviously giving us that 60% on 250 kills. You'll get this a lot faster than you would think, just because of how quick you're moving. And then Arcane Bellicose. The 72% additional strength we get for Arcane Bellicose is beautiful, and the only reason it works on this build is because we're using the Fused Reservoir, and that Vitality Mote will give us an insane amount of health, maxing out Arcane Bellicose so that we can take advantage of the full 72% ability strength here. The only other notable thing is we need to make sure we're running a Coda Hema. The reason being is this weapon has a 5% health drain on it, which procs Arcane Intensify whenever we want to, and It doesn't have ammo, so we don't worry about running out of it, which is really nice when we have an insane amount of fire rate. And we're also building the weapon as a status primer. We want to make sure that we can at least make a status effect with the weapon, because that is how we're going to get growing power, which is a 25% additional. So with the build here on the Hema, I just went with multi-shot and status chance with corrosive and viral proc and cold. And the only reason I'm using cold is because it's my current valence trait. I will be switching the cold to heat just for the additional 50% right off the rip armor shred if I'm not getting enough corrosive, as well as the damage over time, and yet another status to deal damage with my Okinas. And then on your Parazon here, you want to just make sure that you have Power Drain, which gives you 50% ability strength after a Mercy kill. But really, I'm using the Okina Primes, which I have set up for a bunch of statuses using melee influence, and a pet that is set up to do an insane amount of AoE priming with my Nautilus Prime here, giving me also a Vergilus with crit chance for Tenacious Bond, and viral heat on the Vergilus as well. So I'm just priming everything, running around, running really fast, killing everything with my Okina Primes. There is another way you can get more ability power if you want, but let's be honest, it's sillier yet by getting a Pax Bolt. But the Coda Hema is required, and then I would recommend making this a melee frame because of how nice everything works with attack speed in melee. All right, and so this build has a setup, and the setup is memorizable, and it has 6 steps. As long as you do these 6 steps continuously in order, and half of them you don't even have to do anything, you just have to be aware of them, this is a really easy build to play. Again, it is min-max, so it's less comfortable than what I would normally make, but because it's Wisp and once your moat's down, it holds on to the strength that you had, and you can just keep that forever, essentially. The only thing that'll stop or make you have to redo it is neutralizers. Outside of that, what you want to do is you want to empower, energy conserve, mercy kill for power drain. You're going to void sling, then you're going to reload a weapon called the Hema, and then you're going to auto attack with the weapon on the Hema. And let me break those down for you and why we do them so it makes a little more sense. Okay, so let's go through the order again so you can see what it looks like in real time. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're always going to want to hit Empower, which is Helminth over your 4 ability. And when you do, you get an additional 50% strength on your next ability use. So it is not time gated. You can stand still for 8 years. It'll never go away. And then while fighting, you're going to pick up a energy orb eventually, and when you pick up an energy orb, it's going to give you energy conservation, which is another 50% permanent buff until your next ability. And then on our Parazon, we have Power Drain. Sorry, I killed everything too quick, my bad. We have Power Drain, and when we get a Mercy kill, Power Drain gives us an additional 50% ability strength. So now we have 150 ability strength whenever we want on our next ability. Well, our next ability is going to be our moats. Now we're going to go into our operator and we're going to void sling into the ground. And when we do that, we're going to get 20 seconds of power transfer from Marauder. And then we're going to make sure that our Coda has at least 39 bullets. And then we're going to reload it. The reason why is because it's actually 36. We're going to go down to 36 bullets and then reload it because it takes a % of life every time you reload the weapon, and its magazine size determines the percentage of life that it takes. There is a proc that is required for Archon Intensify to kick in, and it's 36 bullets at the magic number. You could do some things to change that a little bit, but I'm just used to using 36 at this point. And then when we reload it, we're going to get that Archon Intensify, And then if we auto attack something and status it, we'll get the 25% additional strength for growing power. So the reasoning behind the Void Sling into the reload, into the auto attack, you can also set up before you even do that, is because that is the best time gate possibility. 20 seconds on the power transfer, 10 seconds on the reload, and 5 seconds on the auto attack. And then you should be able to put it down and collect all of that massive strength buff into one single node here. And right now, if you see, we have 136 haste. And again, if I did the math that I showed you before, 136 times 5.05 is 687. Now, keep in mind, we're using Molt Augmented, so we have another 200 kills that we need before we can min-max it, as well as Bellicros, which also needs around 3,000 HP to max out at 72. And with this build, I can probably get about 750, but we're not done there, because the other thing we need is a Nidus Spectre. So Nidus is a very useful mob when it comes to stacking. And the reason being is he actually gives you a final multiplier. So he gives you a 28% multiplier to my strength, but he's not using my strength at the time he's using it. He's actually multiplying the final form of the strength. So after everything and what my current strength is, his is then multiplied into it. So now if I follow all of the I kill things way too fast with this build. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Now if I follow the exact same chain of command, after I mercy somebody, and I have the Nidus power transfer, the power link on me, which you want to make sure you have that before going any further, obviously. Wait for him to put it on us. We'll set up our coda here. And as soon as we see that power link, we're all set up. There's the power link, Void Sling, consecutive Void Sling, reload our weapon, auto attack, hit the button. And we immediately go to 175 on our moat. And then if we reset everything up with the Nidus Spectre on us, it'll put us at the 188 range, just Molted Augment. So this build is very good in long-term matches like survivals or even defense missions, because you do need 250 kills to max it. But if you run WISP as a melee platform, that 250 comes so easily. Now, I just wanted to show you guys me actually playing the build in a survival mission. This is a Void Relic mission. I never did get the double strength drop that you can get, which is absolutely hilarious to have, you know, somewhere in the realms of like 436% speed. It is horrible for your team. They absolutely hate it. If you learned anything from this or like this build in general, give me a like. It means a lot to me. I go through and put a lot of time into these, and you know, I really want to put together information and stuff that you guys like. And if you don't like it, tell me why. You know, I want to learn and get better at this as well. So if you feel I can improve somewhere, tell me how. I really appreciate it. I am live on Twitch. The link is in my bio. Come check me out. Also, I stream on YouTube as well. I'm going to let this footage run for a little bit so you guys can kind of just see how the build functions as I build into it with a longer match. Keep in mind too, notice how I have my Empower currently just waiting. I just build up these permanents, the permanent 3 as fast as I can, and I wait for a good opportunity to do the rest of it. So without being said, appreciate you guys. I'll let this run for a little bit, and then we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside. All manner of Orokin technology may work here due to the Circulus's proximity. If you have a necromech, you may use it.
When I'm gone, just carry on.